Hello, my name is Myra Tanksley, and I am recording this on March the 4th, 2019. Um, I am the single mother of a soon-to-be 26-year-old with high-functioning autism. His name is Marquis. He's my only child. Marquis is a wonderful young man. He's well-mannered. He's intelligent. He enjoys hobbies. He enjoys talking to nice people, and for several years now he's been isolated and hidden from me. Ever since March the 15th, 2015 was the last time the system allowed me to see him, visit him, and he with me, because he adores me as his mother, and I love my son. So we're both victims in this. But that was the last time that the system allowed me to have a visit with my son. So that's been almost 4 years ago. Actually, on July the 8th, 2015, was the last time I actually seen my son through my own efforts. I knew he would be leaving that day from the little tiny Section 8 townhome that they have him in, and I waited outside across the street, and I got to actually see him, and he had gained a lot of weight from the last time I seen him, March the 15th, 2015, within those 4 months, because I said, like I said, I seen him July the 8th, 2015, which is the last time I actually seen my son. He had gained a whole lot of weight. He looked physically neglected, and he was very, very distraught, because when he seen me, he was happy, but he was very distraught when I had to leave him, because he wants to be with his mother, and he loves his mother. And of course my heart was split in two, because I love my child just like any other mother or father loves their children. And of course it just says a lot about racism in this country, because as a black mother, you know, they don't care anything about my rights as a mother. It's like black people don't have feelings, or we're animals, or, you know, but when people don't think you're worth anything, they're going to treat you like you're not worth anything. But, and then of course my son, he's disabled, he's a black male. So, that's the reason why I said a lot of this stuff is racism. I mean, it's in every fiber of this country since 1776. I don't give a darn who's in denial about it, or what racist idiot want to challenge me, because I'm living this. And when you're accused of escalating your son, and then the autistic people or autistic individuals that are white, whether they're children or teenagers or adults or whatever age group, when they have meltdowns or physical aggression, believe me, they're not telling the white parents, the white moms and dads, you escalate your son. But they always had told me that. I said, no, he's venting to me about how y'all treating him. He's venting to me, not because of me. But as a black mother, but like I said, because racism is not really complicated. It's been America's dirty secret ever since 1776, because this country has always been racially sick and ill. But you got, you know, a lot of these people are in denial about it. And that's the reason why you have black people and other minorities, but African Americans treated negatively and differently. They're not going to treat you like they feel about you. Like they try to make me, as a mother that escalates my son, they try to make like me and my son has a dysfunctional family, and I'm an unfit mother, and he can't stand me, and I escalate because I'm a black mother, you know. So when people are sick with racism, and it is a very, very sick condition to be in, they're going to try to turn you into something that you ain't. No matter what, they don't think you have any worth. They're going to try to depict you as somebody that is a nigger. So that's why I say there's a lot of racism in this. But I have never abused and neglected my son. Matter of fact, I am a professional, a medical professional. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for over almost 32 years now. I am also a Christian. I believe God got this because my son ain't going through what he's going through because he deserves it. He ain't done nothing to nobody. He's a disabled young man and a very nice one at that. And I haven't either. I don't have a criminal record. He doesn't have a criminal record. Yet he's not allowed to see his own mother. And I said, even these inmates, get to, have visits and I guess, phone calls and all that kind of stuff. And he has not been allowed to see his own mother in over 3 years, which is a violation of his civil rights and mine too, as a mother. And when I say 3 years, I mean no holidays, no birthdays, and that's why I said that I don't care about racist idiots in denial. I could care less about that. Don't show me the flag. I mean, I see it all the time, but I'm not going to stand up for it. I ain't going to salute it. Because it got to be for me and my son and a lot of other people. And the problem with a lot of these racist idiots, and, when I talk about racist and racism and prejudice, they're all have different meanings, even though they're basically in the same category. One leads to the other. But you got to have power for one. You got to be have biases for another, ignorance and stuff. But the problem with people in this country is that they always try to define racism according to what they have experienced. And that's why I say, if you want to stand up and salute the flag or stand up for the national anthem, I usually don't do anything with the national anthem. I mean, I usually don't go to a lot of sporting events where it's actually being heard. But I probably wouldn't even stand up for that. Because I can't, at my age, I'm a middle-aged woman, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. My son ain't living that. And neither am I in a little, as far as my family and with my, my relationship with my son. I can't have companionship. I can't reach out and give him gifts. And you know how you want to love and support your child and see him and love on him and stuff. They have stopped that. So that's part of my happiness. So I can't stand up and say life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And then my son sure hasn't had any justice. He has no quality of life. He has no human rights, civil rights. His constitutional rights has been trampled on. He has no, his mother's been taken from him. His the love and support that he yearns to get from his mother has been, taken away from him. They have split up our family. They always have had disrespect for the black family in this country. That goes from slavery, where they have separated. Excuse me, I got a little bit of cold. I'm getting over it. When they have always separated that black family. And like I said, when white folks, and not all white folks are racist or benefit or practice racism. Almost all of them benefit from it, but a lot of them also are part of it, where they don't even know it. But there are some white people that are not racist, or they don't feel it in their heart. And you could tell. I mean, there's white folks, that's why they're out there marching with Black Lives Matter, which means, why are you shooting all these, don't care nothing about these black people's life, you shoot the black male down before you do the white male, and the lives must not matter and stuff. Like I said, my black motherhood doesn't matter, because they're not doing that to the white mothers who have sons and daughters with autism who will be having meltdowns, because it's part of autism, whether they're high functioning, low functioning. A lot of autistic individuals will have behaviors, and they can have physical or verbal aggression. But they ain't, I said, so when these white, individuals with autism are at home and having these meltdowns and physical and verbal aggression, Who's to blame for that? They're at home with the parents. So are you going to blame the white mom or the white dad and say, well, they're having these meltdowns and it's because of you. But you're going to blame it for the black mother. So that's how you see the discrepancy. Real simple. And I said, I know people are in denial. They're in denial about a whole lot of this stuff. And you wonder why this country is going down the tubes. It is going down the tubes. Because, it's so hypocritical and wicked. And it's always been racist. In God we trust and all this kind of stuff. And you're treating black people and other minorities like this. And then want to blame the victim. So, like I said, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. And I said I'll probably lose my voice. But I have 3 Facebook pages that prove that I'm not full of hot air. And it's full of evidence. Pictorial. I got documents. I got recordings. And like I said, photographs. And it just proves that, I'm an evidence girl. I'm telling the truth about them abusing, neglecting, and exploiting my son. It proves that he's not full of hot air. It ain't just his imagination, not just my imagination. So, I said 3, but now I got 4 because I just created one probably about a month ago. And it's called Let Marquis Go, Free Him from His Suffering, Abuse, and Neglect. And then the other 3 is Justice for Autistic Marquis Tanksley, the abuse and neglect of autistic Marquis Tanksley by the government, and the audio tapes of autistic Marquis Tanksley, his suffering, abuse, and neglect. So, as I mentioned, my son is high functioning, and I said I was going to go ahead and put recordings, because I'm an evidence girl. I know when you got crooked, rotten, racist, wicked, evil people in your life, you have to tape them. And you have to get evidence, because, it's unbelievable. Then you got these people in denial, and they want to try to act like that you're full of it. So I said, well, not only do I tape them, I tape Marquis. So these recordings are usually the ones with Marquis is between me and him. Then there's some recordings that, like I said, I'll put on here. I'm starting to put on here me and the staff, me advocating for my son, me going to meetings, me calling about Marquis and seeing how he's doing, me telling them that I need to be able to have contact with my son, that he misses me, that, you're keeping him from getting love and support and encouragement from the only person that really loves him, and that it couldn't be in his best interest. It couldn't be in his well-being to keep him away from a loving, supportive, available, professional mother, a mother that hasn't abused and neglected him. And that's what this tape is that I'm going to upload today. And then, like I said, the tapes with Marquis, you can hear him in his own words telling me and venting to me about how he's been treated. There's abuse, there's assaults that he's telling me about, where he's being hit by staff and other residents, how he's being abused when they're restraining him, how noisy it is. Because as an autistic person, he gets triggered by a lot of noise and things like that. And I gave him a trigger list. I said, you meet this autistic person, you need to be able to manage the environment for them so you don't trigger them and put them in sensory overload, which leads to aggressive behaviors. I gave him a 2-page trigger list trying to help the facility. And this facility is called Columbus Developmental Center. And it is operated and owned by the state of Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. It's an ICF MR facility, intermediate care facility for the mentally retarded. And my son is not mentally retarded. He's high functioning autistic. But they went over there and illegally committed him over there, and he wasn't a low functioning, mentally retarded person. And they committed him over there because he was in his apartment. And I put him in an apartment because my house got foreclosure on it. And so I went ahead before that happened and put him in his apartment. And it was just a nightmare. The home DD staff didn't know nothing about autism. And so when he ran out, they went ahead and put him in that ICF MR facility. And they got him committed over there. The state of Ohio, even like the first time when Marquis first went to CDC, it was for 47 days. It was voluntary admitted or voluntary admission because I was getting our home modified. And then he came back home. And the second time he went there, they committed him there, even though they should never have, because they completely ignored when he was there the first time. Marquis was assaulted and abused. And I got a white MR resident that lived there for years named Danny who told me that. But Marquis was also telling me that he was being hit and abused by a guy named Robert. And so did Danny. Danny is the MR resident that told me that. It was completely ignored, swept under the rug. Because when people are in denial, they are not denying lies. They are denying the truth. And they can't acknowledge the truth. And that's what they did. They just swept it under the rug. So when they committed him there the second time, they just completely ignored me. I was still his guardian. But they went ahead and made sure they took the guardianship away from me. Because it helps them not to have a mother like me in the picture. They don't have to get consent from me. Anything happens to him, if he ends up in the hospital or whatever, injured, they don't have to tell me. So they got this low-life, racist, evil, wicked, lying, pathological liar by the name of Erin L. Sanford, and she's a lawyer. So they got this low-life, lying attorney that's racist and a fit, and they went ahead and appointed her as Marquis's, that's my son's name if I didn't tell you, limited guardian. And so the majority of this, as far as separating me and Marquis and not allowing me and him to have contact, is on her. And like I said, he has not been allowed to have any contact with me. He hasn't called me. Like one time they had him where he didn't call me a whole year. And if he doesn't call me, it's not because he doesn't want to. It's because he hasn't been allowed to. So he hasn't called me since last year. He hasn't been allowed to call me. Of course, she don't want me to see him because they know that I get evidence. Because those Facebook pages are out there for them to see, like the whole world. And ain't no telling what kind of condition he's in. And I believe they're afraid to let me see him. Because last time I talked to him was right before Christmas on December 16th of last year. And I told him, I said, I got stuff waiting for you here at home. And he misses me and loves me so much. And, my son ain't an inanimate object. He likes to watch sports. I got all his hobby stuff. He likes to collect things. And, of course, he misses me. And I do have, the last time I'd seen him, July the 8th, 2015, I do have that videotape, and it is heartbreaking. I also have a YouTube channel. I try to give backgrounds when I do these audio videos. They never really have, video on them. Just audio. And like I said, it's so much. And I don't have that much time to record and put it on YouTube, but I always put them on YouTube. Then I upload them to the pages that I'm going to put it on. So you could go to my YouTube channel. You'll see the audio videos. You'll also see the last day that I ever seen my son. And as a Christian, I believe God had to be the one to bring me back home, because these people are too wicked and racist. They don't want me to see what condition he's in. They got him on Thorazine. He's been on Thorazine for years now. And I just had to trust God, that God is with him. He's also on lithium and couldnt, and then besides the thorazine. But, Sanford is afraid to let me see what condition he's in. But, I know God is in this. I've seen God take a very wicked, evil Jewish lawyer off the planet for thinking he was unstoppable and all powerful and bragging on himself and bragging about how he runs over people in court. And God doesn't like that kind of stuff. And, God hates pride. And when you sit up there bragging on mistreating people, God hates that. Because whether people know it or not, the way you treat other people offends God, especially if they're the least. And that doesn't mean that my son's the least or I'm the least. But even Jesus said, what have you done to the least of my brethren? You did it to me. And that offends God. And that's the second commandment. Greatest commandment. The first is to love God. The second is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And then when you mistreat people, you're going to have to answer to God. Sometimes in this life, you ain't got to wait till judgment day or the day you bust hell wide open, because God will take people right off the planet. And that's what he did with this guy. But, God is angry. These people practice injustice. And I've read the Bible 4 times all the way through. And God is very angry with injustice. And it's throughout the Bible. And when God talks about justice, he ain't talking about the average Joe on the street. He's talking about these people that work in the so-called legal system, in the court system. Prosecutors, judges, magistrates, court investigators, lawyers, scub attorneys, clerks. That's what he's talking about. And God is very angry with it. And God is a just God. So he's going to settle the case. I just hope he lets me see it like he let me see that when he informed me that Jewish lawyer was deceased. The Lord made me get a newspaper the day that his name was in the obituary. And I don't even get the newspaper. I just don't subscribe to it. But the Lord made me get it that day in the store and open it up and see that man's name in there. So God is all in this. And I'm a Christian. So he's in every part of my life. And he promised he will take care of business and fight our battles. And it's not a battle for him. But we're taught to step back, let Jesus handle it. So on this tape, because I'm running out of time, it is me having a meeting, and this is from December the 21st, 2012, and I got tapes all the way up to the last time I talked to my son. So you can imagine I got many more years to go. But I had went over, he was at Columbus Developmental Center, the state of Ohio facility. And I went to the status meeting, and I was telling them about them not allowing me and Marquis to have visits, how they were violating his civil rights, and possibly mine too, as a mother, messing with the family relationship. I told them how they didn't know how to work with Marquis, why he vents to me, because they always said I escalate my son, like I mentioned earlier. And they would say, well, we don't want him to get upset when you vent. No. Maybe if you didn't treat him like an animal, maybe when I came over there, he wouldn't be, I would vent to my mother too. I say, he's got a right to vent. But he's telling me all about the hell that you people are putting through. And he's upset about it. He ain't going to be quiet and mild-mannered and happy about it. And he wants me to feel his pain and know how he's feeling. But now, these people didn't know anything about autism, even with the trigger list. And here they supposed to have a state-ran, operated facility and state workers that are supposed to know about autism. I said, but he ain't never told me, I hate you, Mom, or get out of here and stuff. He's venting to me, not because of me, and he's telling me stuff because he's so upset. He wanted me to take him back home. And like I said, I got plenty of tapes. This ain't the first tape. You can see some of those tapes if you go to the beginning of the page. And like I tell people, always start at the beginning of the page, the day I first created. And that's why I created the audio tape page. I said people will be able to hear Marquis in his own words, from his own mouth, describe his abuse, his neglect. He expresses his pain, his feelings about missing me and loving his mother and wanting to be back home and telling, describing, like I said, abuse and assaults and all sorts of things from his own mouth because he's high functioning. And see, that's another thing. They don't want me to have contact with Marquis because they know he could tell me things. He's verbal. He's got autism, but he can tell me, like, if they move him, if anybody assaults him. And then, of course, Sanford don't want me to see what kind of condition he's in and stuff. But God will take care of all of that. And I said, as long as these pages are out, well, let me put it this way. Me and Marquis can go on to our destiny because God is in control. He has the final say. And if he doesn't want Marquis to stay in that system, he's come back home and be with his mom. And I don't believe that he wants Marquis to be in that system for the rest of his life. I just don't believe that. Or that I'll never see my son again. But that's my faith. But long after me and Marquis are gone on with the mission and the destiny that God has us, these pages will be out here until Jesus tells me to come and take them, or he comes to me and says, take them down. They are exposed forever. But it'll be God that has to settle this case because there's things that only God can put down. And God can put it down in any way that he wants to. But another thing I've learned is that God has his own appointed time when he does things. He doesn't always do things on our time and our way. So, just because it hasn't happened, doesn't mean that Marquis is not coming back home. And I've told Marquis that too. I said, because God has his own appointed time. And the Bible talks about at the appointed time, that God will do things his way, his timing. But I told Sanford she won't even talk to me because, when they're racist and wicked, they get this black mother who she thinks she is, they ain't going to be able to listen to it and stuff. That's a bitter pill for them to swallow. But I told her, left a message. I said, you are on the wrong side of the ring. I said, because you can't outbox God. I said, he's in the ring with me and Marquis. I said, he's on our side. I said, because Marquis ain't done nothing to you people for y'all to treat him like that. I said, but God can take this and make a message out of it and a testimony. He gets all the glory, honor, and praise. Because I can't bring my son back home. This is an army full of wicked, racist, evil, corrupt, rotten human beings. And I don't care. I don't, because I look at people's character. I don't give a darn if you're the president or the prime minister or you're some sorry, racist, lying, unfit attorney or judge. I don't care what kind of job you have or what kind of role you play. I don't respect jobs and roles, and I don't care what kind of skin color you are. I look at people's character. So when I say these things about these people, I'm not really calling them names. I'm describing them. But I'm not respectful of evil, wicked, racist people. I don't care what kind of job they got or what they do for a living or how much money they make. It doesn't make any difference to me. I look at character. That's what I look at. And I can respect a one-time criminal out in the street, then I can respect them more than I can do Sanford and them. Because these people make a living off of that. And the Bible even has that in the book of Proverbs, how they make living they take cruel advantage of poor and needy people. It's in Proverbs, I think, 30:14, but it says there are people who take cruel advantage of the poor and needy. That's the way they make the living. But these people make a living off of this 24/7, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, they're at work. You're taking people's rights away, oppressing people, and God's angry with it. And he'll do something about it. But Marquis ain't going through what he's going through because he deserves it. You don't have to go through any or do anything bad for people to mistreat you. Look how they did Jesus. He was executed like a criminal, even though he was the Son of God. He was God in the flesh. He was the Word. The Word became flesh. But he was treated like a criminal, executed like a criminal. The Bible says he was without sin, of course. But he was, numbered with the transgressors and executed between two criminals, two thieves. Marquis ain't done nothing for them to beat him and take his rights away. He's disabled. He's not a criminal. He ain't a juvenile delinquent. He's a young man that is just a wonderful man, young, intelligent man that happens to have, a slight disability. They took my guardianship away. It ain't because I deserved it. So just because somebody treats you bad don't mean you deserve it. Of course, they took it away, not because, I didn't do right by my son. It helps them. Because they don't have to tell me anything. If my son goes in to have surgery, I'll never know it. And they got abusive staff, that is going to abuse them and neglect them. Because you cannot get good fruit from a bad tree. That's why I said racism and all, the abuse and neglect is not hard. All you do is just take a camera and then a tape recorder, and you can get all the dirt. Because a bad tree is going to put out bad fruit. That's the kind of people these people are. They're abusive, they're racist, they at least to my son, they neglected him, they abuse him, they exploit him, they're racist, they take his rights away. It's going to be easy to get the evidence. You can't go to an apple tree and expect to see oranges growing on it. It doesn't work that way. Even Jesus tells us that. A bad tree is going to bear bad fruit. A good tree is going to bear good fruit. I got evidence on these people because that's the kind of people they are. And they don't want me to get any more evidence besides not wanting to tell me. So they really, and I said, stop in contact with my son. As a mother that loves her son, that's why I said, I'm not standing up for no pledge of allegiance. Because it ain't true. It's a lie. Because he sure ain't got no life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And he doesn't have any justice. And I'm not going to do it. That's just not the way I do things. And I said, I probably won't even stand up for the national anthem. But life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And justice for all. No. That ain't never been true. There ain't never been justice for all. And I'm at that age, I said, I don't care who don't understand it. And if you ain't living it, maybe you won't. Now, if you got your American dream, and ain't nobody trying to stop you from seeing your child, and you're not being treated like a second-class citizen and stuff like that, then wave your flag. You should. Because that's what you live in. That's your experience. But don't just sit up and try to tell somebody else, like me, I don't represent all black people, but I don't want no idiot come in my face. I'm like, oh, well, you got it going on and this country being good. No, everything I got, God gave it to me. Everything I got, God gave it to me. So let me go ahead, and it ain't because of this country. And it sure ain't been because of no white people. It's been because of Jesus, God. So we'll set that straight. And that's where I feel about it. But on this videotape, from December 21st, 2012, it's at a meeting, meeting with, it was Heidi Hughes, the sick psychiatrist, Dr. William J. Bates, the guy named Rod Capaldi, he was program director, but he's now the superintendent. You know how they move within circles from one job to the other. I don't know if that D. Mike Snow was there. He's the one that was the superintendent at the time. It was saying that Marquis was trying to get his staff in trouble. I said, you don't even need to be in this field. I said, because all autistic people don't try to sit up and manipulate in their mind to try to get people in trouble and stuff. I said, when I heard that, but that's the kind of scum you have working. Because like I said, none of them know anything about autism. None of them. But I said, you gonna sit up there and try to say you don't even know when a person is venting to his mother versus being upset at their mother. I said, my son sat up and begged me, told me how much he missed me and loved me. It's all on the tapes, and it's probably over 100 of tapes that I have. Probably the majority of them is like that, where he's describing abuse and neglect, and his love for me, how he misses me. I said, that don't sound like he's upset with his mother. It sounds like he's upset with the way y'all treating him, and he's begging his mother to take him home because he misses her, and he loves her, and because the place is too noisy, and he's being abused and beaten on and restrained and everything else. And that's why I said I'm going to make that audio tape page. And like I said, I already created it, and you can go and hear the tapes. But I'm going to be putting some tapes on of me recording conversations with them and advocating for my son. But God's going to deal with these people because God has designed the family. And anytime you try to separate or you separate a family, you know, you don't have to deal with God. So with that, let me go ahead and let you hear this. At the meeting, I was telling them about them not allowing us to have visit. It's not the best clarity. It's not clear because at that time, I was taping on a microcassette. In February 2013, I started taping on a smartphone so it would be clearer. You'll be able to hear the recordings clearer. But this was on a microcassette. I also was asking about what Marquis is eating. I asked him why he was restrained the day before. I was asking, was certain abusive staff that had already abused Marquis, have hit him, beat him, were they still working with him? Then I had got a call after the meeting, after I got home, a message was left saying Marquis had been restrained. I asked staff why was he triggered to make him start having aggressive behavior. He never told me, didn't tell me the length of time that he was on or in restraints. So again, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and let you hear this. Go ahead and rest my voice. This will be on the audio tape page and on my YouTube channel. And here we go.
Well, he has outbursts. You should have an outburst on your unit. I wasn't there when he was doing those. So it's really kind of ludicrous. That's not the only time that Marquis has had aggression. Is when he has aggression. He's been restrained multiple times during the day. And also, absolutely. If you think you could control it, you could control it by having your trained staff being able to work with Marquis. So he's reactive to the environment. But to sit up and try to say that he's only aggressive when he visits with Mom is ludicrous. Because when he's over there, well, then don't try to solve that. That's what I'm saying to you. And all the business that I have had with Marquis has not been about him bending and having aggressive physical behaviors. We talk about plans, we talk about, I'm the only one that can calm my son down. But he has a right to vent. Unfortunately, it gets a little autistic kind of way, where autistic people teaching lessons, a lot of times they do have behaviors when they're bending and overwhelmed. But he doesn't do it to me all the time. There's times that he sits and smiles and wants to talk about his favorite words and activities and stuff. So, I'm very disturbed with the thing that, what's going on in this facility, okay? That's all I have to say about it. But, I'll be able to prove what I'm saying. When Marquis needs to see his mom, he's probably wondering where I'm at. He's probably wondering if I have abandoned him. And that's not in his best interest not to see and talk to his mom. And it's a federal civil rights violation. And mine, too. Okay? Yes, I'm ready to get started. First of all, what he's doing is he's getting meals so that to be maintained the way he used to eat at home or in his apartment. Is his appetite still the same? Are they feeding him things that nobody should be asking in? His life, he's not going to just eat anything that's put out there. Like what? What is he eating? Restrained yesterday. Why? Why was he restrained? It's always a trigger. They always reactive. Autistic people are always reactive. They just don't do that. Okay, well, I just want to know, because I know he's just not doing it just not to do it. That's why, because I want people to kind of know what they're working with and dealing with. But he's not mentally retarded. He's actually autistic. He has a mild diagnosis. But he's an autistic person. That's what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with a mentally retarded person. So you got to know how to work with the autistic person. And if you read the triggers that I gave this facility, you'll see that he doesn't like phone rings. Yeah, well, but then you can prevent that aggression. If you got an autistic person, you got to have your staff trained. You got to modify and accommodate them in that environment. If you don't, it's going to be a failure, and you're actually not meeting their needs. If you admit an autistic person, you got to know how to deal with them, because then you're not meeting the needs of that person. It is this abusive staff working with him. I'll name them, Roxanne, Robert, I'm going to say Jennifer, because she didn't report it. She needs to learn to report abuse, and she's the co-worker's daughter. Matt is just a ground supervisor. And T-John. And they're working around my child. And they've been here 2,000 years. I don't want to around my son. They're working around my child. That's all I care about. Okay, so, and my child has rights too. That's a civil rights violation for abuse of residents in state rec facilities. And at this point, if you're not, you just institution, you can have your own investigative policies and procedures and stuff. But this is a little bit bigger. This is a federal thing that's going on and stuff because of the civil rights abuses. and stuff. So, I mean, but when I say that, I don't need to remind you of that. I have somebody else that will remind your department of that. But I want to make sure as his mother and guardian, no guardian or whatever, I'm still his mother, I'm going to be his mother. Except that I want him safe and secure. And, well, you know. Will allow us to have access to this? It's not just, you know. Nobody followed up with me. Nobody stop fleeing. Everybody says stop fleeing, stop fleeing. He never called me. Was he supposed to follow up? I told Michelle about it, or whatever her name is, and I wrote out a statement. And nobody else. But it's not all about CDC now. It's about federal civil rights violations. As the psychologist, let me just ask him a question, Jeff. As the psychologist in here, did you think it's in his best interest not to see and talk to his mother? I just, a lot of so-called doctors that especially autism, they're not autistic experts and stuff, so they get psychosis sometimes. It's misdiagnosed. But what I ask you is, and I will be dealing with that, you know, when we're bringing some autistic experts, not mental health experts, but autistic experts, because autism is not a mental health disorder. Psychosis is, and I don't believe my son is psychosis. I think he suffers from PTSD. But what I was asking you, do you think it's in his best interest and that he may, for him not to be able to see and talk to his mother? Not atypical, the old school. Right, it's typical, not atypical. Autism is a tranquilizer. It's an antipsychotic. It's not atypical. That's the newer class. And it tends to slow down. But there's a lot of autistic people that do take psychotropic meds and mental health meds. But there's not really for autistic disorders. Autism is not a psychiatric disorder. So that's the reason why, you know, I'm saying what I'm saying, but forget all the medical science and stuff, because people can debate that all the time and stuff. I want to know, does anybody think it's in his best interest not to see his mother, somebody that he's bothered with? And I don't want to hear anything about, well, he has intense behaviors with you, he's been having aggression, and physical, whatever you want to call it, violence, meltdown, when I haven't been over there. You had one yesterday, so was that my date making him do that, or what? Okay, so you didn't answer the question, because I wanted to know if you could have answered it yes or no. I just wanted, if you think it's in his best interest, or he'll not to be able to see and talk to his mother. I know it's a federal right that he has and stuff. And then also, I have a federal right too, that I've been told. I didn't know that, but I also knew, but I don't think it's in his best interest not to see and talk to his mother. He doesn't always do those things with me. He has a lot of wonderful visits with me. I'm the one that he looks forward to vent to talk to, and you know, and I approve all of that, because it's pretty ludicrous to try to coach this thing like, well, somebody has business with you. He's going to be doing unsafe behavior. He does not do unsafe violent behavior every time he has visit with me. So it's slanderous. Really, you know, what he's doing and stuff is damning, and because of his autism, it's become behavioral. It's very verbal. The autistic people, you can call it acting out, they will have meltdowns. I don't care if they're athletes all the way down to the lower function one. They will have behaviors when they're stressed. And he's not to be penalized for that, and neither am I, because that's a part of his disability. So you ought to know that. But there's also the other part of it. He doesn't always do that. What about the comfort I give him? The support. They want to see my face. They want to talk to me about plans that we have in the future. What about that? You're making him miss out on that. That's a federal civil rights violation. civil rights violation. And the mama bear too, so I've been told. So it needs to be reinstated, because you forget about that part. That's a massive consortium. He has a right to be able to have support and comfort from his mother. And I do that too. And I've been able to do it. And I can prove that I do it. It's best for him, but I'm going to put it this way. And I'll tell the world, don't accept an autistic person that's been triggered all day, that's frustrated, to not get to their caregiver about what's going on. And that's what he's doing. To let it loose and tell me about everything that's bothering him. And because of his autism, well, you know, I think he has the right to vocalize, but unfortunately what we're dealing with is autism. So because of his autism, he's not going to be in a typical way. And because of what frustration, the best thing is to do that. Let me give you an example. You have a safety procedure when you're with him. Don't blame it on me and stuff. And what I'm saying is that if maybe he was treated better in this place, he wouldn't be telling me how noisy and cold and it's bad and who he had to be careful when he had an obligation. Especially when he's not visiting me. My obligation is too. I'm nothing better than you. Don't forget that. But I'm telling you right now, if you're going to talk about safety, like I told her, then we need to get him safe from the staff. He doesn't need protection from us. He needs protection from CDC staff. Like they can be in the next room. They don't have to be sitting behind us saying comments to him. I know you don't want to, but that's about, let's deal with that. Because we're looking at federal violations and stuff. Well, they can be in the next room and stuff. But I know you ain't right. I know we're for everything, Rob, so, and everything. And stuff. Because what they're doing, you need to tell your staff, when I'm talking to him and he gets a little loud, they don't need to say, well, you need to be happy and stuff. This business with me, and it's a two-person thing. I don't need them in the background barking orders and saying, well, you need to be busy. Matt does that a lot. You need to be, listen to your mom, you should be happy. I don't need their help. Plus, it's infringing on our relationship, our visiting relationship. But I'm not going to sit up and listen to nobody talk about safety when you got staff running around here punching my son in the chest and the co-worker's not reporting it. When I'm not here, so what's the excuse for that? Nobody talk about safety when you got staff running around here punching my son in the chest and the co-worker's not reporting it. And he has aggressive behaviors when I'm not here, so what's the excuse for that? I'm not here when he's being restrained, so why is he having aggressive behavior? So let's not try to brand him off. So I want somebody to call me and let me know. So can I visit him today or what? What's going on here? Okay, what about Christmas? Okay. Yeah. Well, y'all need to get ready because you're violating civil rights violations. Mine and my son. So y'all need to get it ready, and I'll co-count that. A lot of times, you guys. In the center of this universe. I know it. Yes. This is Myra Kingsley. I want to know how my son is doing today.
As of now, he's doing okay. I've heard reports he had a bad day or not, so he appears to be okay.
Who is this?
Mr. Jones, Grounds.
Oh, okay. All right, sir. All right, man. Am I able to talk to him today or anything like that?
No, ma'am, not at this moment.
All right, then. Thank you.
Don't forget.
Yes, this is Myra Kingsley. I just got your call. You said that Marquis was in restraint.
Yes, ma'am. At 5:22 p.m.
And how long was he in restraint and why? Why was he triggered?
They can say things like aggressive behavior.
Okay, but why? Yeah, but why? Why?
I'm not for sure. He just became upset. I'm not sure why he became upset. I mean,
Okay, so there you have it. I only got like 5 minutes, but you can hear me um, discussing and educating and teaching the government filth on the tape. Heidi Hughes, which was a social worker, Rob Capaldi, um, then I believe it was the psychiatrist, William J. Banks. It might have been a psychologist instead. His name was Steve Pruitt. I forgot who else was in the room, but I got it written down in my records who all was there. And it was just amazing to me that these people had the nerves to be in that field and didn't know anything about autism. And still they tried to blame me for Marquis's outbursts. I said, so when y'all are restraining him, and I'm not there, but y'all restraining him because you saying his behavior and his aggression is so bad, is that my ghost? I mean, I'm not there, and you're calling me and telling me you're restraining him. Like the last thing you heard was me calling them back because they said he was restrained. And he was restrained a lot over there. And I always said, now, when you got to restrain a resident or residents over and over again, then the facility is not competent. They don't know how to manage the environment for those particular patients or residents or clients. But, and that's why I told him, I said, well, so you're saying he has outbursts when he's visiting with me, which is a lie, because like I said, I take my son all the time, and we'll talk about his hobbies and how we miss each other and plans, and I encourage him, I pray, which would give him peace, and hug him, and then he'll say, I feel better. So it was a lie, trying to blame the black mother, the unfit mother, on her son. They said outbursts. I said, no, he get to screaming and yelling, telling me how they had restrained him and abused him. I got it all on tape, so I could prove everything I'm saying. But, you get to venting to me about how he's been abused and how noisy it is. And I said, good, you got a right to tell your mom. That's what I'm here for. And then I was also comforting too and stuff. But they ought to know. I said, well, here's an upset resident with a developmental disability, teaching lesson, and he has autism. And because my son ain't never told me, Mom, I love this place. Oh, I had so much fun. I said, well, maybe if you didn't treat him like an animal and had some competent trained staff, then when Mom came over here, maybe he wouldn't be telling his mother all this stuff. Sounds like a young man with a disability venting to his mother. And that's what he would do all the time because he was being abused and neglected and thrown in sensory overload and assaulted and beat on and frightened and terrorized and traumatized all the time over there. Morning, noon, and night. So there you have it. Look for it on the audio tape page and the YouTube channel. And go to my other pages. Go to Myra Tanksley. You'll see all 4 pages. Go from the beginning, especially on the justice page, the audio tape page, and the abuse and neglect page. And but that's the scum that we have in our life. Rotten, racist, evil, corrupt people. And I'm not going to get a cease and desist letter because it ain't slander. They slander me like no tomorrow and Marquis too, but I don't slander them. It's not slander when it's true. That's why ain't nobody never sent me a letter or anything. None of the attorneys, none of them going to send me a letter. Because like I said, I ain't slander when it's true. And they know I got evidence. They know I got the evidence. They know I ain't lying. If it came down to the real nitty gritty, they know I ain't lying. I'm sure they've been to the pages like anybody else. Marquis, I love you. I miss you. God's got you. He's with you. And he's going to use you and me, especially you, to make a statement. I love you so much. Hang on in there, and I miss you. I miss you so much. And thanks for listening. I love you, Marquis.